called him the Terminator after Saturday's game. Will everyone else soon be calling Blake Griffin the Player of the Year in college basketball? From the Dodge Sports Desk, I'm Jenny Carlson, and this is the OU basketball edition of the Bedlam Nation Conversation with John Helsley. Okay, John, just when you thought you'd seen it all with Blake Griffin, he scores 40 points, grabs 23 boards Saturday against Texas Tech. Did that monster game cement him as the National Player of the Year in college basketball?
You've got to think so. You know, last week we talked about maybe the dunk being his signature moment. Well, I think he's got a new signature moment. It's this game from Saturday. Just a huge game, obviously 40 points, 23 rebounds. Nobody else in Big 12 history had gone for 40-20. I think it definitely locks him in.
Pat Knight had the great soundbite calling Blake Griffin the Terminator, said he never changes expression, but Pat Knight had something to do with what Blake Griffin did, scoring 40 and grabbing 23 boards. They guarded him one-on-one. Why in the heck would anybody think about doing that?
Well, his logic after the game was, Blake Griffin is going to get his. Let's let him get his. We've seen this before and try and cover everybody else. That worked for a little while. You know, Oklahoma didn't lead until 12 minutes into the game, but then Cade Davis got hot. Some of the other guys got involved, and it blew up on them. And that's what you get. I think a lot of coaches are trying to figure out how to handle Blake Griffin. That's not one of the bright ways to do it.
Apparently not. Another guy that's getting some Player of the Year consideration in another area is Willie Warren for Freshman of the Year. You wrote a little bit about this today in your OU Basketball Insider, but where does he rank among freshmen nationally?
I think he's right there in that conversation, and if you get on and you read some of the national pundits, what they think, he's right there in the conversation. Tyreek Evans of Memphis is leading his team in scoring. Obviously, the Tigers are very good. You've got a couple other guys around the country who are having good years. But when you put into perspective what Willie means to the team, I mean, obviously he's having a great year on a team that already has a great player. And so the things that he's adding, the things that he helps Blake Griffin do every day by opening up the offense, I think has to be considered.
I know people are talking about this being probably the final year for Blake Griffin at OU. But is Willie Warren an early NBA entry candidate? Any chance he could leave early, maybe even this year?
I don't think so. And he is so far saying all the right things. And I think there's some appeal for him to maybe come back next year and it'll be his team. I think he kind of likes that idea. There's a couple of new recruits coming in. And that would be his team next year. Anything you see mock draft-wise that it does include him, he's way down at the bottom of the first round. I don't think he'd come out for that.
All right. Sooners played Saturday against Tech. They have a week before they play again. Is it good timing for this team to have this full week between games?
You know, the way they're going, you might think no. You want to just keep going and keep winning games. This is a team that maybe needs a little bit of rest. Austin Johnson is a guy that's had a lot of injury problems in his career. He's going through some things right now. I think this will be some good time for him. And just some of the other Sooners that are, feeling the normal, bumps and bruises that you get during a long season. I think it'll be good for them. And then it also sets up really a couple extra days to get ready for probably their biggest stretch in the Big 12 conference season. You've got Texas on Saturday and then a big Monday with Kansas.
Well, obviously that's sort of the big question now is that 3-day span that the Sooners are getting ready for. How much is riding on that? Go to Texas, Kansas at home. I mean, the two teams that right now I think a lot of people are sort of gauging OU against. What's riding on those 3 games right there, or 3 days right there?
Yeah, if you win those 2 games, I think you've pretty much locked up the Big 12 title, barring some unforeseen something happening at home. They have one really big game left beyond that. It's at Missouri. If you split those games this weekend, I think maybe there's a little bit of doubt still left in the Big 12 race. If you go out and you play well and you win those 2 games, I think you can pretty much crown them.
Yeah, and probably some NCAA tournament ramifications too, I would assume.
Absolutely. I think a number 1 seed is very much within their reach. I think that they are a number 1 seed at this point. Do well this weekend, and I think you pretty much solidified that as well.
All right. John will continue providing in-depth coverage of the Sooners as the regular season winds down and the postseason ramps up. To follow all the news and analysis, stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.